Welcome to Story Station, Episode 9. In this episode, you can listen to 3 Indian stories. The first story is titled, The Daydreaming Priest. Can you turn one pot of milk into a big dairy business? An Indian priest dreams of it. Listen to the story to find out if he succeeds. The second story is titled, The Wedding of the Mouse. It is a Panchatantra story. This is a story of a mouse that becomes a girl and grows up to be a woman and marries the king of mice. Wondering how? Listen to the story. The third story is titled, The Noble Deer. This is also a Panchatantra story. Can you be as noble as this deer who's being hunted by the king on his hunting trip? Hope you enjoy it! Today, I will read an Indian story called The Daydreaming Priest. Once upon a time, there lived a priest who was extremely lazy and poor at the same time. He did not want to do any hard work, but used to dream of being rich one day. He got his food by begging for alms. One morning, he got a pot of milk as part of the alms. He was extremely delighted and went home with the pot of milk. He boiled the milk, drank some of it, and put the remaining milk in a pot. He added slight curds in the pot for converting the milk to curd. He then lay down to rest. He was extremely delighted at the pot of milk he found, and started dreaming about the pot of curd while he lay asleep. He dreamt that if he could become rich somehow, all his miseries would be gone. His thoughts turned to the pot of milk he had set to form curd. He dreamt on. By morning, the pot of milk would set. It would be converted to curd. I would churn the curd and make butter out of it. I would heat the butter and make ghee out of it. I will go to that market and sell that ghee and make some money, and with that money I can buy a hen. The hen will lay me many eggs which will hatch, and there'll be many more hens and cocks. These cocks and hen will in turn lay hundreds of eggs, and I will soon have a poultry farm of my own. He kept on imagining. I will sell all the hens of my poultry and buy some cows and open a milk dairy. All the town people will buy milk from me. I will be very rich, and soon I shall buy jewelry. The king will buy all the jewelry from me. I will be so rich that I will be able to marry an exceptionally beautiful girl from a rich family. Soon I will have a handsome son. If he does any mischief, I will be very angry, and to teach him a lesson, I will hit him with a big stick. During this dream, he involuntarily picked up the stick next to his bed, thinking that he was beating his son, raised the stick, and hit the pot. The pot of milk broke, and he awoke from his sleep. Only then did he realize he was daydreaming. There is no substitute for hard work. Dreams cannot be fulfilled without hard work. The end. I hope you liked the story. The next story begins in a moment. Today, I will read an Indian story called The Wedding of the Mouse. It is a Panchatantra story. Once upon a time, a sage, Salankayana, was doing penance at the bank of the river. During his penance, a female mouse came there, running away from the wicked bird. The female mouse then prayed, Salankayana, O sage, please give me shelter in your hermitage, otherwise this wicked bird will kill me. The female mouse's prayer moved the sage, but he thought that if he took her home, people would laugh at him. So he turned the mouse into a beautiful girl and took her home. Who is this beautiful girl? Asked the sage's wife. Where did you bring her from? She is a female mouse. She needed protection from a wicked bird. I turned her into a girl and brought her home. I will make her a mouse again, said the sage. Please don't do that. Let this mouse be a girl, pleaded his wife. You have saved her life, and therefore you have become her father. I don't have a child. Since you are her father, she becomes my daughter. The sage accepted her plea. The girl grew into a beautiful woman and became an eligible bride. Salankayana told his wife, the girl has come of age. It is not proper for her to remain in our house. It's all right. "Look for a boy," said his wife. Selankayana immediately summoned the sun and told him, "This is my daughter. If she is willing to marry you, get ready to marry her." He then showed the sun to his daughter and asked her if she would marry him. She said that the sun was very hot and she would prefer someone else. The sage then summoned the god of clouds, the god of wind, and the god of mountains. The girl rejected every one of them on one ground or the other. Then the god of mountains told the sage, "The most suitable candidate for your daughter is a mouse. He is more powerful than I am." The sage then turned her into a mouse and gave her away to a king of mice in marriage. Selankayana murmured, "Crow is a crow, and cannot become an owl. This girl is a mouse, and the mouse she will be." The end. Thanks for listening. The next story begins in a moment. Today I will read an Indian story called The Noble Deer. This is a Panchatantra story. Once upon a time there lived a noble deer. He walked with his head high, and his long antlers showed grace. He walked with a gait that made all the animals bow to him. He was the king of the deer. He treated all his subjects and other animals very well. Even the king of the jungle, the lion, respected him. One day a group of traders lost their way in the forest. Distressed and afraid, they wondered what to do. When they looked up, they saw the deer standing by. It beckoned them to follow him. They had nothing to lose, and they followed him. The deer led them to the outskirts of a city and bounded back into the forest. The leader of the traders was so impressed by the deer that he felt the king ought to know about it. The traders went to the king and told him about the wonderful deer and his noble deed. The king did not listen to the words praising the deer's noble deeds. He just heard that they had found a wonderful deer. He decided to go and hunt the deer at once. When he went into the forest with his soldiers, they saw the deer peacefully grazing in the meadow. The king looked at the stately form of deer and the long antlers and said, "None of you should shoot at him. That animal is mine. His antlers will grace the walls of my palace." Saying this, he shot at the deer, which evaded the arrow in time. The deer gave the king a long chase. As the king chased the deer, he went deep into the forest. Soon he was far away from his retinue. The deer gave him the slip and was walking away, when it heard a huge splash. It understood that the king had fallen into the watering hole while looking for him. Without a thought, the deer went to the watering hole and saw the helpless king screaming for help. No one could hear him. The deer ran to him and lowered its strong antlers. The king held on to it while the deer pulled him out. The king was thankful and fell at the deer's feet, totally ashamed of himself. The deer let the king sit on his back and took him back to his city. The king asked him to stay on at the palace as his friend, but the deer refused, saying that the forest was his home. It is said that the deer was a bodhisattva, an incarnation of Buddha. If we could learn to be noble like the deer and help even our enemies when they are defenseless, we are sure to gain friends for life. The end. I hope you enjoyed this story. Thank you for listening to Story Station. We are adding stories as frequently as possible, so check back often. We would love to hear your feedback and any questions you may have. Thank you.